You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hey there, digital trailblazers, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most Phil Better, the podcast mogul. And today we've got a guest who's been rewriting the rules of success in the virtual world. Joining us today is an incredible visionary who's turned the conventional timeline of success on its head. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, our guest insights are about to reshape how you approach virtual events and digital marketing. Over the years, they have not just mastered, but revolutionized the game, generating over $30 million in profits for their clients in a mere 2 to 3 years. And guess what? They're here to spill the beans on how they did it and how you can too. So grab your headphones and get ready to soak in the wisdom, because on today's show, our guest is laying bare his secret formulas for success in the digital realm. This is not just another podcast. It's a masterclass in growth, influence, and making it big in the online world. So without further ado, let's dive into the episode and learn from how truly to invest in ourselves with the man who's been there and done it before, Michael Tucker. Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Phil, my man, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so pumped and excited for this conversation.
I'm over the moon because I read your little bio that your team sent over, and what you have accomplished, mind-blowing. So I want to just jump into it. My first question, like normal, is why did you become an entrepreneur?
I think it's very common, right? A lot of people get in because several reasons, and I think one of that I tell people all the time is I was kind of born into it, right? My family, my dad was an entrepreneur growing up. He had all kinds of stores and he's always in sales. And so I kind of was born into the entrepreneurship world. And I realized at a young age that I can go out, create a product or create a service or sell something and get this green paper in my hands to go buy stuff. As kids, you go buy candy, you go buy toys, whatever. I was like, that in my light bulb was like, wow, why wouldn't anybody want to go start a business where you can create something from the ground up and go sell it or go market it in a way that, could benefit your family and benefit your future. So for me, I got into entrepreneurship because of the fact that my family kind of pushed me that way, and that was just a part of life. But then as I got older, I realized that I just was a creator. And maybe some of you guys are like me, you're sitting here and you're just like, I love creating things. And for me, whenever I found myself in a 9-to-5 job, maybe like you, Phil, I just couldn't find satisfaction in creating for other people, like in other organizations. I just was like, I have to build for myself. And so that's why I chose entrepreneurship, is so I can build something that I love and I want to build.
I fully agree. Me jumping into out of the 9-to-5 was because I couldn't feel that I had control. That sense of control, like, hey, we need to move fast because this needs to be done. And then it's like, and you're working for a corporation, it goes through levels and all that, and
Right.
you can't move as quick. And that's what I love about the entrepreneurial thing. You can, on a dime, change directions on a dime, and the only person you have to answer to is yourself and your customers. So I love hearing that you kind of had the same thing, but you were born into it. It was in your blood. Um, did you find that it was easier for you or simpler to figure out the entrepreneurial model? Or because you had it from birth, pretty much, you saw your dad do it, you saw your family members do it? Or did it take you a while to figure out your specific blend of entrepreneurialism?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both, but I would say leaning towards the latter, right? And a lot of you all maybe are like me, your family has businesses, they're, entrepreneurs, but just because your family is in business or just because your family contains entrepreneurs doesn't mean that I'm not saying my family did it wrong, but I'm just stating this in general, doesn't mean they're doing business right. And maybe that the industry they're in is not even right for you. So for me, my dad was in a lot of sales and arenas that, for me, I found myself, I don't necessarily want to be in that, right? So I had to kind of go on a journey and ask myself, what avenues do I want to go on, right? Or what industries do I want to go in? And so there was a lot of testing, right? And so my story is I got out of high school, Phil. And so I got out of high school, I was trying everything and anything to make a dollar. And maybe some of you guys can relate to that. I was trying Amazon drop shipping. I was trying eBay, stock trading. I even started a kettle corn wholesaling company where we made kettle corn, bagged it up, and sold it to gas stations and restaurants. It was crazy. I was trying anything because I just couldn't figure out what that was. And it was only through trial and error that led me to where I am today. But yeah, it definitely wasn't handed over on a silver platter. It was something that I had to kind of go out on a journey. And so I think a lot of people, they're afraid, and maybe Phil, you have some more insights on this. But I think a lot of people, they're afraid to go out and try something. It's okay to go out and try something. Now, here's the deal. All these things that I was trying, my friend, I would try it out and I would say, you know what, this doesn't work. You know what, this doesn't work. Stocks, that's not working for me. XYZ. What I realized was the industry worked. It's just I didn't work. And I didn't work those vehicles long enough. So it's okay to go out and test and do what I did, but make sure you're committing to something long enough that you can master it. Right. And so instead of taking 2 or 3 months at something, which is what I did, I would get into one industry for 2 months and dip out into another, hone in on it and go in deep for a year, 2 years, become masters at your craft. If you truly, truly believe in something, become masters in it. And, after a year or two, if you don't find success and you're not finding momentum, maybe it's time to switch into another industry. But I had to go test everything and then choose which one to go deep in.
I like that. I love how you reiterated that it's a trial and error. Entrepreneurs fail constantly. The ones that succeed right away, yeah, they're great. They're great stories. But the 99% of us who do this entrepreneur, we fail so much that it's amazing that we're this resilient to the failures. And we look at it, I look at failures as another chance to learn. It's not a failure, I'm learning. And I think it's harks back to school, where we get those grades, and it's a pass or fail, right? And if you fail, it's bad. But in entrepreneurship, it's the reverse. Failing is good because you're learning from it. You can take the lessons and move on to bigger successes. Did you find that any of your failures really hit home some lessons that you needed to learn?
Yeah, man. And this actually, that's a perfect tee to my story, like a tee up. You just like pitched me the ball. Okay. So
My job.
yeah, so you're doing amazing. So whenever I was, going through this, bouncing around from idea to idea, I had a friend call me up and he was like, "Hey, Michael, I'd love to coach you in real estate." Now, I'm not like here to promote real estate, but he was like, "I'm going to teach you real estate." And I said, "Dude, right now, I just got out of college. I just got married. I have like $100 in my bank account. How in the world am I supposed to go invest in real estate?" He was like, "I'll coach you." And so again, I was doing all these other things. And so that was just another bucket I decided to jump in and try, or another pool to swim in. And I started finding a little success there, and I started finding little wins. Well, eventually I experienced a failure or a loss in that industry. I ended up buying a property. Long story short, I didn't do my due diligence good enough. I didn't go out there and evaluate the deal good enough. And I ended up losing like $20,000 or $30,000. And so I found myself in the same exact predicament that I had with all these other industries. Michael, am I going to quit or am I going to keep going? And everything else I had quit, I just, put to the wayside and said, I'm done with it. And so I had this moment after I lost, it was like $20,000 to $30,000 on this one deal. And you got to remember, I didn't have much money anyway. And so I was actually way negative. And I remember there was this one situation, Phil, where I was at one of my mom's store, because I told you my parents are entrepreneurs. My mom has a store. It was a clothing store. And so I walked through the front doors while all this was happening in my life. And I walked behind the store counter, and my mom could tell, through this time I was really kind of depressed, because you go from having $100 to now negative thousands of dollars. And she said, Michael, are you gonna continue doing this? I know you've been in real estate for a while. I know what happened. Are you going to keep doing this? And it was at that moment where I had to make a decision. Am I going to keep giving up on everything like I had before, or am I going to actually commit to the process? So the failure for me that kind of created that wake up moment was this in real estate. And then my mom asking me that question, what are you going to do? Because she had seen me go through this suffering. And so I chose that day, I'm going to commit to this as long as it takes to succeed. And so for you all, a lot of people listening to this, maybe you relate to that, maybe you don't, but there's some of you guys, you've been hitting your head up against a brick wall, and you maybe been stumbling and falling here and there. You just got to pick yourself back up and keep going, because you never know, you're feet away or inches away from success, but it just takes you committing to it. So that was for me, Phil, was that moment whenever I was down in the deep valleys of this loss of real estate that I was experiencing. And it wasn't just money loss. I was dealing with a lot of relationship struggles, because when you just get married, you expect life to be happy and jolly and everything. And then, you go back negative thousands of dollars. So a lot of bad things were going on at the time, but that was the moment for me that made me kick in and realize I got to take this seriously and I got to commit to something.
I like that. And it is true. Everybody who hits the wall, as you like to say it, at a certain point, they have to decide, are they going to kick down the wall, go around the wall, or just leave the wall standing and walk away? And I love how you just decided, no, I've given up on 1,000 other things. I'm going to try and stick with this, see where it goes. Yeah, I'm in the hole, but hey, it's only a short period. I can do this. I'll give it my all. And if I do it, great. If I don't, well, I've learned a great lesson. And I love how you internalize that, and your mother pretty much helped you there. And it's important to have family. And I think you coming from a family of entrepreneurs actually helped, because your family obviously knew about those struggles, those hardships that come with, losing on a business deal. And so I think that really, that was an impressive memory to have for you.
Yeah, 100%. And that was actually the pivotal moment for me that just kind of instilled new thought processes. I don't know. It's like you're doing one thing a certain way your whole life, and then you just have that experience, and it's like, okay, no going back, right? And so now I have this phrase, and just this statement I say all the time is like, commit, conquer, right? In order to conquer something, you have to commit to something. And so yeah, that's a message I talk about all the time. But that real estate, me committing to that, opened up so many other doors, man, to the digital world. Because you're like, Michael, how did you end up getting into digital marketing, entrepreneurship in the digital realm? Was that I actually, my real estate coach, I ended up helping him after he helped me bounce back from that loss, and I actually started making money. I wanted to give back. And so I actually started doing some marketing for him, just as a little on the side, just kind of helping him out. And we ended up taking his business like $1 million in like a little over a year. I think it was like $750,000 in 10 months. And I had really little to no marketing experience, but I kind of lended a hand. And that was like my first step into digital marketing, was like just jumping in with my real estate coach, helping him grow his coaching business and his online business. And there was a lot of mistakes along the way. There was a lot of stumbling, but it was crazy. And that for me was like the light bulb moment of, wow, what is possible online, right? Because at the time, everything I was doing was kind of like, real estate's, it's local based, it's in person. I had a little, the kettle corn stuff that was in person, but then I was like wait, you can make $750,000 online in 10 months. This is crazy. And so that was the transition there to the digital realm, and it opened my eyes like crazy.
Yeah, no. My introduction to the digital realm was my first client, Lloyd Ross, amazing guy, my millionaire money mentor, if you will. With when he came onto the podcast and he talked about how his book was helping him make millions. I kind of wanted to know, how did you go from, okay, I'm doing digital marketing, and then transfer into virtual events? Because they're not really hand in hand. Usually people do virtual events and learn marketing. You did marketing first, and then you're like, I'm going to change the game in virtual events. How did that transpire?
Yeah, I think actually, so you said you don't think they go hand in hand, but I think it depends on what your definitions of digital marketing and those virtual events are, right? So for us, we're primarily known for virtual events right now, but virtual events for us are just another marketing tool, right? And so whenever I transitioned from real estate to helping my real estate coach, we didn't know what we were doing at the time. He said, Michael, I'd love your help. Let's just figure out a way to grow this thing. And so I said, okay. And we just started looking online. What were we supposed to do? And at the time, this was about 5 years ago, everybody was, just starting doing webinars or master classes, right? And so for us, we were like, hey, maybe the webinar or the master class is the thing to do. We tried it out. The first one failed. I don't think we made any money the first one we did. We took weeks to build this thing out. We built all the funnels, all the emails, all the text. We did everything you're supposed to do for a launch, and it just fell flat on its face. It was like horrible. But then we had a friend come to us that was watching in the distance. We didn't know he was watching in the distance, but he was on the social media distance, I guess you would say, just watching what we were doing, watching all the promotion, watching all the videos we were doing. And he reached out to us and he said, Michael, I love what you guys are doing. Your messaging's awesome, but I want you to test a different vehicle, a different marketing vehicle. And we said, okay, cool. We thought we were supposed to be doing webinars. That's what everybody else is supposed to do. And he said, no, I want you to venture in and I want you to try this thing called a 5-day challenge. Now, some of you guys that aren't in the coaching space and you may have never heard of a 5-day challenge. If you have, awesome. That's what we've perfected. But he came to us, he said, I want you to run this 5-day virtual event. And this is how I want you to do it. We literally met with this guy over Zoom for an hour and he laid it all out. This is what you're going to do on this day. He said, for 5 days, we want you to go live sharing your expertise. And we didn't know what the heck we were going to do after that 1 hour Zoom call because we had never done it before, but we just took imperfect action. And that first one we did, we ended up making, I think, $30,000. Now for us at the time, you got to realize $30,000 to me was a heck of a lot of money because that's what I made in a year. And so we ran this 5-day virtual event and I was like, I can make 30,000. What I made in a year, I made in 5 days. Like, this is crazy. I got to do it again. And so that was like the Kickstarter for us. So you were asking, digital marketing and virtual events. It was like, we use virtual events to market our businesses and to get sales. And so if you look at digital marketing for me, is just using the internet, using social media and all these different platforms to get people's attention so that you can sell them. That's what we do. We use virtual events to capture people's attention because I truly believe there's a few other resources out there like books and things of that nature that I love, but I truly believe that virtual stages and virtual events are one of the best ways to take people from cold leads to hot customers in a small amount of time. So that's kind of the intro on how we got started. I know that was a lot, so I apologize.
No, I love it.
I just went deep in here.
I love when my guests go deep because it provides so much value and golden nuggets that I may miss, but someone listening will hear it and be like, there we go. I got it. Michael has the secret for me. I do have a question. Hold on. Here we go. Success often comes with its fair of challenges, as we've talked about before. Can you reflect on a significant hurt? We already did that. My God, I already asked that question. Silly me. Here we go. Generating 30 million in profit in over 2 to 3 years for your clients is an astonishing achievement. Can you highlight a client success story that stands out in your mind? And how did your strategies and expertise contribute to their success? And what lessons can other entrepreneurs draw from those experiences? So we heard from your first time, which was first event crash, your second 5-day, your first 5-day challenge crushed it with 30K. Is there another more recent one that comes to mind that you had a client who was like, look, I'm screwed, I'm desperate, it's my last little money. Can you help me?
Yeah, and that's a great question because we work with people in a lot of different niches. And like I said, I truly believe that virtual events can be for anybody, whether you are a financial advisor, whether you are a health coach. I don't know what industry you're in, but I think there's a virtual event style out there for you that you can implement. And so for us, one of the most recent experiences I can think of, I'm going to give a few here so you can see kind of like where people are at. But we work with a lot of people in like real estate, but one that's not in real estate is I had a friend, he came to me and said, "Hey, Michael, I see what you're doing." And he has very small list. I shouldn't say small list, but he's not a big, huge list. And he is in, he helps financial advisors take their business online, right? So that's his business. And financial advisors is different, right? It's not like that's super niche. You're not going to be able to go out there and just market that to anybody. And so at first I kind of had reservations, but we went in and we did an event. Like I said, he just came off another event, an in-person conference. So we did very little promotion on that. But we set up a 5-day virtual event in our way that we normally do it for him. And we were able to walk away and make around, I think it was like $60,000 to $70,000 in 5 days off of a small list. There was only 100 to 200 people that registered for this event, free people. So it wasn't like we charged tickets for them. So free attendees, about, I think 200 people. And we still were able to make almost 7 figures through that one event off a super small list he had. And I'm going to be honest, his business was fairly new as well. So that's one in particular, but I'm going to pull one more because, man, there's so many. I'm trying to figure out. Was that pretty clear?
Oh, I love that. I love that story because when you're helping a friend, and you're also helping someone in a very, very, very specific niche. Like I know financial advisors because my father did it for his life pretty much.
Okay.
My growing up, he was a financial security advisor, for different companies and that. So I understand how their businesses work. So hearing you helping someone help those people, like my father could have been one of those people before he retired, is great because it's like actionable advice. It is possible. Plus, it's a relatively new business, small list. We'll say probably under 500 people on that list.
Right.
And he only had close to 200 people come in, and he still crushed it.
And I mean that was just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please continue.
No, I just was going to say, and that's a small example. We've with our processes, guys. And you guys, just every industry is going to be different, every person, but we've helped people make $17,000 up to 2 or 3 million. Actually, one client, we helped him make like 3 to 5 million through one event. So like, this is really doable for you guys. And I don't want to, like, I'm not going to say you're going to go make 7 figures with one virtual event, but what if you just made 5 or 6 figures? Like that's mind blowing. So like another one I was going to share was a lady that we worked with. We actually helped her make like 1.5 million. This is like a big example. And she coaches people where to, how to invest in stocks and like trading and things like that. Right. And so we help people in many different niches, but those are just 2 recent ones where this person came in with us. She only was ever selling a super low ticket products. Like her products she was ever selling were $100, $200. We come in, show her how to run a virtual event, and then we sell something high ticket. So the key is on these virtual events you want to sell something that has good profit margins, right? So it could be a $2,000 program, a $5,000. We've sold up to $75,000 packages on these events. You're like, Michael, you can sell that high? Yes, because what happens is the way we set up these events is you can have somebody come in that doesn't even know you, but we structure it in a way to nurture them each and every day of this virtual event, that by the end of the week, which on these 5-day events, we do Monday through Friday, by Friday, they're like, I've learned so much this week that I believe I can do anything. Man, I've not taken this much action in years, right? And so we get people coming in, they're taking action, they're thinking differently, there's energy, and people are willing to invest to change their life and work with us after. And so those are just a few examples. We've ran 100 of these, and that's just of the 5-day challenge. We've ran tons of webinars and masterclasses, hundreds of those. But yeah, those are just a few examples for you.
I love it. I love how you showed how even you made a quote unquote small amount, like look, 5 figures is life changing for most people, you know, because most people don't have 2 cents to rub together because of the world we're living in right now. So just these small wins like that you've done, that helps put a lot of hope, if you will,
Yeah.
or ideas into my audience's head. Because like, look, even I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, what kind of 5-day challenge can I do that can generate at least a couple 5-figure weeks for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I want to know. I snap my fingers. We're 10 years in the future, Michael. What are you doing?
What am I doing in 10 years?
Yeah, what are you doing in 10 years? I always love knowing what someone's goal is when they come on the show. So what are you doing in 10 years from now?
You know, man, that's a great question. At 10 years, I would be 36. So at 36
making you feel young. You're making me feel old right now, Michael.
I've been doing this. I started pretty early, so I got a head start versus most people. So you know what? I think I would love at the time just to be speaking. I love speaking. I love pouring out, helping people like a lot of you all do. A lot of you all have passions to serve other people and to go and spread messages, about your industry or what you work in. So that would be me. I think in 10 years, I'd love to kind of phase out of what we're doing with our agency, either by selling it or by going out there and automating it, which we're working on right now with a whole, team that runs itself. And then just kind of go around and, provide value to our community and speak across stages to help as many people as possible.
I love that. I love that. Moving from being in your business to working on the business to letting the business run and you just collect those little checks every month. I think that's a great goal to have, Michael. If you could give a single piece of advice to someone we're going to talk with the live events because that's what you do, these amazing events. What's the one piece of advice that you want to give to someone who's about to launch their first 5-day challenge, if you will?
Yeah. So for anybody, whether you're running a 5-day challenge or it's a webinar or a workshop, I don't know, there's so many terms out there nowadays, right? If you're running an event where you're going to be in front of people on a stage, whether it's in person or virtual, there's a few things I would say. Number one, have your clients' goals in mind. Right. The way we structure our events is we look at from a high level view, what do these people want? Like, where are they at right now? And where do they want to be? Right. So where's Phil right now in his life? And then how can we create this event to help them get closer to his goals and his dreams? And if you can use that event to move people closer, it doesn't have to be from A to Z, but if you can get them from A to C, A to M, A to Y, right? Most time they'll take the next step to get the final results. And so number one piece of advice, I'm going to give you two, but number one would be that just use that event to really move people through their journey, right? A lot of people call it the customer journey or client journey, but really look at what their goals are and try to use that event to help them get there. And number two is I've seen events that I've seen events that should do horrible because the content's not good or the automations are not set up right, all those things, right? But because the people had enough passion and energy, their events crushed it because people feed off of energy and passion. And so my second piece of advice would be whenever you do these live events, whether it's in person or virtual, show up with energy. People feed off that, and it doesn't matter if what you're saying is good or not. A lot of people just tag on to you and buy a product because of your belief. So show up with as much belief as possible, as much passion as possible, because that's what moves people.
I love it. And it's true. The more passion you are, the more people will feel it and want to go with it. Michael, we are coming up to the end, which I hate because you've already dropped tons of knowledge. But I'm going to ask a selfish question. As most of my audience know, I have a nephew, and I want to give him a nice big book of advice from entrepreneurs like yourself when he turns 10. So just click my fingers. I have 10-year-old Michael right here. He's a Spitfire. He's ready to go. He's looking for advice from, his older version of himself. what piece of advice are you giving your 10-year-old self?
That's really because when I've thought about this, I was like, I maybe go a little deep, and I'm like, you can't go too deep because it's 10-year-old. So I think it's like just never stop believing, because as you grow up, especially in the entrepreneurship, you're going to take a lot of hits to the chin. You're going to get pushed down a lot. We talked about those failures. You're going to hit those a lot. So just never stop believing. And even if people think you're crazy, even if people don't understand, just believe, because I think that's really important for us as we get older and become adults. So that would be my advice: is the belief you have now, the enthusiasm you have now, never give that up. Keep believing, regardless how old you are.
I love it. And it's great advice for anybody from 10 to 99 years old. Michael, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know where they can find you, where they can follow you. If you have anything else you want to let them know, a last bit of advice before we sign off. The floor is yours.
Thanks, my friend. Yeah, anywhere, guys, you want to follow me, I'm on social media at official Michael Tucker. So you guys can follow me there. But we also have a podcast called $1 Million Secrets. Phil would love to maybe have you on there as well one day. $1 Million Secrets is on YouTube, all platforms. And guys, we're actually getting ready to release, maybe at the time you listening to this, maybe it'll be out by then, but we're getting ready to roll out a community that we would love for you to join. It's called $1 Million Secrets Community. And so you can go to milliondollarsecrets.com and get some free resources there. Literally, you could just log in, get access for free. We have some free tools for you guys, and join our community. And I think you guys will greatly benefit from that, since it's for online entrepreneurs. But Phil, I would love to connect further with you and see about maybe finding a way to include you in what we do. Everywhere on social media, milliondollarsecrets.com. And we'll look forward to seeing you. Let me know you came from Phil's show, and would love to see what we can do and connect to collaborate.
Michael, I can't thank you enough. I would love to be a part of anything you do, because, hey, helping entrepreneurs is what I love to do. And if I can add a little bit of knowledge to your group, I would be more than happy. So thank you very much for that offer, Michael.
All right. Yeah, anytime, my friend. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. To my audience, as you know, down in the show notes, we'll have all the links to Michael's stuff so that you can join his $1 Million Secret organization, so you can become the next millionaire in your social circle. But as always, thank you for listening, and remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.